Mission tonight?
Oops, sorry.
I got a lot of volume. Please complete a blue speaker request form and give it to the clerk prior to the item being called. We'll start with the the roll call. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Fitch? Commissioner Rella?
Present.
Chair Dinko?
Present.
Commissioner Ward and Vice Chair Gracia will be marked absent.
And tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Fitch. Please stand.
All rise. Flag. Raise your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated.
Our first item this evening is the monthly Community Enhancement and Safety Update provided by Community Enhancement and Safety Manager, Terriford.
Thank you, Commissioners. This period, which runs June 25th to July 22nd, the Community Enhancement and Safety Team collected 411 signs, which makes 2,803 for the year, issued 766 street sweeping citations, totaling 5,000 so far for the year. We had 0 illegal vendors reported. The number of total cases was 254, and we've responded to 161 of those, so we do have a bit of a backlog on complaints. And we issued 17 4th of July citations. Thank you. Yes, yeah, they're all fireworks related.
I have a question on signs. What type of signs are we having to remove? Because there's always a large volume every month.
There is, and it's typically on the weekend. There's quite a few real estate signs that get removed that aren't placed properly. And so we have a code officer or a technician that works on Sunday that's all they do is they go out Sunday mornings and remove those signs.
Have we ever reached out to the realtors themselves and told them to
We
pick up the signs?
absolutely do.
I'm asking something that you probably have done, but I'm curious.
Yeah, we do, and we keep the signs. They can come and collect them. And then in August, I actually have a meeting with one of the larger real estate groups, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about.
I see. Thank you. Next item up is item 3.2, the monthly fire department update provided by Chief Veit.
Good evening, Commissioners. For calls for service, total of 245 calls for service last month during the month of June. Fire Station 27 had 145 of those calls. Fire Station 31, 82 of those calls, and then Station 17 in Hoopa Valley came in to assist the city on 18 different incidents. Overall, our activity has been very moderate. We've been able to enjoy the moderate weather the past few months, but as you all can tell, the last few days, the weather has picked up significantly, and along with our initial attack, wildland fire responses have increased as well. With that being said, we want to make sure we end with a fire safe message, and if everyone can remember this time of year, one less spark equals one less wildland fire. So thank you.
Thank you. Next item is item 3.3, the monthly police department update provided by Sergeant Gutierrez.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. For the month of June, total calls for service was 2,036, which was a 3% decrease from the previous month. Total traffic collisions, we had 59, which was a 35% decrease from the previous month. We had 92. With those traffic collisions, 6 of them were injury traffic collisions, which was a decrease of 6 from the previous month. The non-injury traffic collisions, we had a total of 53, which is a 33% decrease from 80 from the previous month. Total citations written in the month of June was 393, which is a 9% decrease from the previous month. Out of those citations, 285 were moving citations, 108 were parking violations. Vehicle burglaries, we had 19, which was a 24% decrease from 25 the previous month. Noise calls, we had 109, which was a 65% increase from the previous month. We had 66. And that was pretty much from like party calls from the graduation parties. the month of June. Mail theft, we only had one, which was a decrease of 2 from the previous month. The uniform crime report for the month of May, we had 0 homicides, 0 reported rapes, 0 robberies, 1 aggravated assault, 14 burglaries, 31 larceny or thefts, 11 vehicle thefts, and 0 arsons reported. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
If I can add one thing, the UCR, the Part 1 crimes, it's the lowest it's been in over 2 years.
Two questions, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did you give a stat on vehicle burgs or just straight burgs by itself?
For the burglaries, those are 14 were burglaries, just not vehicle burgs.
Do you have vehicle burg stats or not right now?
Let me see. I do. I have for the month of June. I had 19.
And citations, it was up, right, not down? You said 391?
393 total. We were down 9% decrease.
I'm curious, all of our UCR stats are exceptionally low. They're really, really low. In terms of the violent crimes, they almost can't get much lower because we are 0 in most cases, so that's excellent. But I'm curious on a vehicle theft piece, have we had the opportunity by any chance to find out where these cases or these vehicles are being recovered?
It's recovered or
Recovered.
I
Like
don't
once they
have that
leave the
information. Do you
city?
have that
Okay.
Were you recover with the ALPR?
Yeah. So far, we've had total, since February, I think we've had 8 recovered 10A51s by ALPR. We have over 600,000 now license plates in the system from our ALPR system.
That's great.
Are those 8 that were taken from the city or just found here?
I'm sorry, I don't know the exact where they
Okay.
came from. Those were the vehicles that were
Just,
that
okay.
were in our city when we got a hit on it. I don't know if they were actually taken from our city.
And then, okay.
Yeah.
Right, I understand with a lot of vehicle thefts that occur, sometimes when one's dropped and other one's taken. So anytime we can get them where they're just left, that helps the overall cause. So that's great and excellent. It's nice to hear the feedback on the ALPRs since city invested money in it, and we're really eager to kind of get feedback on success stories whenever they pop up. So anytime we have one, whether it's a want hit, a vehicle theft or a DOJ hit, if that could be included somehow, that would be great. Thank you.
Chairperson, I just want to let you know, the fixed cameras were just implemented here recently, so we're going to see a real uptick in the volume of license plates read, because all the cars are going to be moving by those fixed places rather than the car hitting the license plates. So we should see the real benefit of the ALPR pretty soon.
Excellent, thank you. So the next item is item 3.4, the Tailgate Fest presentation provided by Kat McDonald from Red Rock Entertainment Services.
So they're on their way, they're stuck in traffic getting here, and they said if you want to take the next item and come back to them, they should be here within about 5 minutes or so.
Sounds great. Okay, that'll bring us to 3.5, Northwest Vector Control presentation provided by Eric Vallejos. Welcome.
So again, thank you, Commissioner, for allowing me to come out and speak today. So my name is Eric Vallejos. I'm the Public Information Technology Officer for Northwest Mosquito and Vector Control District. We're the public agency that covers the area for all vector-related issues. Some of you may be wondering, what is a vector? It's on. No problem. So a vector is an organism capable of transmitting disease-causing pathogens to other humans or animals. So what that basically means is any organism that directly impacts human or animal health. So some of the main vectors in the area that are of concern are mosquitoes, Africanized honeybees, rats, mice, flies, black flies, midges, ticks, and fleas. So this is a nice little graph to understand that mosquitoes, as little as they are the world's deadliest animal, causing approximately 725 deaths a year, compared to sharks, which are such ferocious animals at 10. So it's really a major public health concern that we have to take a constant eye on and constantly out there looking for these mosquitoes. So this is an example of the mosquito life cycle. So a mosquito goes through what's known as a full metamorphosis, where the female will lay her eggs, it'll go through a 4 instar process, then to a pupae, and that pupae will hatch off to adult. And in summer months like we're in right now, this process could take as little as 7 days. So in some instances, it's taken as little as 3. So, but usually right now with temperatures being as high as they are, it'll take about 7 days. So here are some examples of some potential breeding sources. We have all the way from domestic that we could find in the city, gutters, vacant homes, standing water and swimming pools, to horse troughs, to larger natural sources such as the Santa Ana River. Not the flowing part, however, there's little inlets and things like that pocket up. Those could potentially breed mosquitoes. Tidal marshes out by the beach and other small containers. Something as little as the bottle cap on your guys' water right there, that's enough water to breed mosquitoes. So it's something to consider. A little bit of water, and with what we had this morning, with a little bit of drizzle and then the hot weather, makes for prime mosquito breeding season. So at the district, we try to take a proactive approach. What that means is we want to treat the mosquitoes when they're still in the larval form. It's a lot more cost effective, and it's a lot more effective as well. So when we go out, we treat with the truck mounted sprayers. We're only looking to get approximately 60 to 70% kill rate with that. When we kill, when they're still in the larval form, we could get close to 100% kill. So it's a lot more effective, and it's a lot better way to go about mosquito control. So here's some of the stats this year so far. Our main concern would be West Nile virus. Currently, this was as of Friday, there was 582 mosquito samples of potential West Nile virus. In Northwest Territory, we currently have 0. So this is, a lot of these stats are coming from the Coachella area, farther east in the county. We did have 1 human case in California, and that's it as of right now. So West Nile virus, here's a little example of the transmission cycle. So the disease actually stays inside birds. The crow is the main carrier of the West Nile virus. It'll kill crows eventually. However, the mosquito will go, it'll bite the crow, then that same mosquito goes to get another blood meal and will bite a human, and that's how they transmit the disease to humans. All it takes is 1 bite from an infected mosquito. Horses are also affected by West Nile virus, just a little heads up. So here's one of our typical mosquito adulticide routes that we do. If this looks familiar, this would be the bike trail located on the south part of Eastvale. We also do, it connects over to Eastvale Community Park. We usually start over by Dearborn, if that sounds familiar. And that's one of our, we do this route probably 80% of the time when we do adulticiding. So this is a very known route. We do this every other week, usually during peak mosquito breeding season. So to our area now, we have a new invasive mosquito, also known as the Aedes aegypti, or the yellow fever mosquito. This has come to our area. It was introduced through the Port of LA, and it's a new, very problem animal, or pest, that we have to keep an eye on. So this mosquito could do a numerous number of new diseases. However, none of them are locally transmitted at this time. Some of the diseases it could do or transmit are yellow fever, chikungunya virus, dengue fever, as well as Zika virus. That was very big in the news a couple years ago. So this mosquito does not fly very far. Usually the flight range is about the size of a football field, so just keep that in mind. It doesn't need to fly any farther than that. So if you're getting bit by this mosquito, it's usually coming from very close to your house, if not at your house. Like I said, This mosquito, it only needs just a very small amount of water to breed in. So like this is the one that in small cryptic breeding sources like the bottle caps, little things of trash, things like that around your house, those are ideal conditions for this mosquito to breed in. This mosquito could glue its egg in a source that's potentially going to have water in the future. These eggs have the ability to dry out and stay viable for up to 2 years. So all it takes is, a little cap. That mosquito will go glue her egg in there. That cap gets thrown around in the trash. A little bit of irrigation gets on it. 2 years later, that egg will fly off. So as you can imagine, it's very difficult to find this mosquito. So here's a little, you can do it one more time. Here's a little NPR ad about this mosquito. So this mosquito, it loves to bite people. It has a sneaky approach from behind. It bites elbows and knees. It bites during the day and at night. It's a sipper and takes partial blood meal. So what does this mean? So a lot of times people will say, I'm getting tore up by all these mosquitoes. It could be only a couple mosquitoes because these mosquitoes will only take a little sip of blood. Because they've evolved around humans, they're used to people swatting them. So that's why they take a little bit of sip of blood and then go to the next host, which makes them a great vector of these diseases. So here are some of the cities that we've detected the Aedes aegypti mosquito. The Aedes albopictus is another kind of mosquito that's invasive to the area. Currently in Riverside County, we do not have it, so hopefully we'll keep it out. So the Aedes aegypti, or the yellow fever mosquito, is located in Corona, Riverside, Eastville, and as well as Norco. So be on the lookout. Like I said, this mosquito will bite you during the day and it'll bite you inside. They found it originally in LA in an office building. The lucky bamboo that people had at their desk, they were breeding inside of that. So here are some potential breeding sources. We have an unused fountain. We have a plant with a little planter on the bottom that collects water when you overwater your plant. Those are ideal containers for these mosquitoes to breed in. So things like that, you want to make sure you add sand to the bottom of them. Just make sure that you don't have any standing water. Abandoned tires, abandoned spas, things like that. They have also been known to breed inside the bromeliad plant. So it's a waxy plant that holds water inside of it. Just that little bit of water is enough for this mosquito to breed. So what do we do to control these mosquitoes? Public education is critical because, as you can imagine, it's extremely hard and time consuming to send technicians out to every single house that has these potential mosquitoes. So what do? We want to let people know about this mosquito. We want them to go out, dump any standing water. All it takes is about a week for this mosquito to breed and hatch off to another flying adult, another generation. So we want people to go around, look around their properties, dump any potential standing water. That's the best cost-effective way to deal with this problem. We do adulticiding when needed, and we do larval source management when needed as well. Like I said, those are just two very time-consuming aspects of mosquito control. Here's another graph of kind of what we practice, which is known as integrated, it's now called vector management, which includes surveillance, abatement, and public education. So at our district, we have a fully staffed lab. They're out there, we're setting traps, we're trying to identify new mosquitoes, new trends, new potential breeding sources around. Then we also have the abatement part, which is our technicians that go out. We have specific zones that we go to. We're searching every day. We map every source with our GIS system. This allows us to continually monitor these sources. And then public education, which I'm doing today, letting people know about this stuff, letting people know that they need to go out. They need to look around their house and dump all the standing water. All it takes is a little bit. And that's all I have right now. Anyone have any questions?
What warrants a service request?
Just any resident that's saying, I'm getting bit up, they can call us out. We'll send a technician out. They'll go, they'll search around the neighborhood. They'll search around the resident's house. Whatever, if we can't find a source, then we'll send our lab out. They could test the area. The mosquitoes that we bring back will give us a greater idea of what kind of source to look for, and it goes on like that. So all it takes is a resident to call, and that warrants a service request, and that service request will get answered within 24 hours.
Thank you.
What is the difference between, in terms of deployment, adulticiding versus larval source management? Are they different delivery systems?
Yes, so the adulticide treatments, those are done very early in the morning, usually between 3 to 6 in the morning. It's in a truck-mounted sprayer. It's, like I said, done very early, and they drive a route spraying very light mist that contains a very little bit of material in it. Compared to larviciding, that's where technicians, they go out, we have map sources, they look for the little pockets of water and they treat them with usually a granular material that's mosquito specific. It's a bacteria.
With Southern California, there's a lot of pools.
Mhm.
What type of challenge does that come with? I mean, there's water in a lot of backyards and
Yeah.
communities. How does that affect the,
Definitely. So, like, a swimming pool in a neighborhood could produce a lot of mosquitoes. So we do rely on residents knowing who we are, knowing the proper how to call us, get a hold of us. We have a standing warrant where we could go in and access pools if need be. So if it's a vacant property, usually though, once we go out, we let people know who we are, what we're trying to do. They usually let us in, no problem. And then we just continuously go out there.
are properly treated pools okay? Or
Yep.
is it
Yep.
unattended ones?
It's the unattended ones,
Okay.
the green stagnant water. When we had the housing crisis, when a lot of pools were getting abandoned, that's when we had quite a bit of a spike in swimming pools. But real estate's doing pretty well right now, so we're getting a kind of a reduce in that. But that was a major concern for a number of years.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Besides dumping out standing water, is there any other home remedy you guys have posted on the website as far as?
If you're going to be out, at dusk and dawn, you want to make sure, especially if you live over there near the bike trail, wear mosquito repellent and make sure that you wear the repellents properly. Read them by the label. So you want to make sure your repellent has either DEET, picaridin, oil of lemon eucalyptus, or IR3535. These are repellents that have been scientifically proven to work. So whatever you would like to use, make sure you read them and apply them according to the label. And if you are going to be out at those times, maybe wear a light long sleeve shirt and pants and closed-toed shoes. And if anyone has any more questions, there's one more of our contact information for the shop. You give us a call and we'll gladly come out.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I learned a lot with your presentations. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
Should we move on to the consent? Can we come back to that item later? Okay. All matters of the consent calendar are considered routine and would be approved with one motion unless a commissioner, staff member, or a member of the public request separate action on a specific item. Do we have a staff member that has requested to pull an item?
No, sir, we don't.
Member of the public?
No, sir, not from consent.
Would any of the commissioners like to pull an item? I'll take this as a no. So we could use a motion and second it for the remainder, to accept the remainder of the consent calendar.
My motion.
I can second.
Oh,
Commissioner Fitch?
Yes.
Commissioner Varela?
yes.
Chair Dinko?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
So that would be the end of the consent calendar, and we'll move on to commission business items. We have one item here titled Desi Lane Temporary Closure. Do we have a presentation on this?
Yes, sir, we do.
Good evening, Commission. I'll be taking that. My name is Bill Hemsley. I'm the city engineer for Eastville with Interwest Consulting Group. So the Estancia neighborhood has approached the city with concerns about traffic coming from the high school, Roosevelt High School. What's happened is because of the impact of the high school, vehicles are bypassing the parking lot, going down through the neighborhood. We're going to have a little slide up here for you in just a second. And so the issues are that there's speeding along their streets in the Estancia neighborhood. And there's been some fender benders that have occurred there as well. And then there's parking. Some of the students will park their vehicles there in the neighborhood and then walk up to the high school. So you can see the high school there, the large parking lot to the north, Citrus Street. And Desi Lane, which is the name of this presentation, is where a pilot study was done by barricading off the street to see what the impact of that would be on the concerns. So the results, we took some counts and speeds prior to closing off Desi Lane. The average speed was decreased from 25 miles an hour to 21 miles an hour. The 85th percentile speed was decreased from 32 miles an hour to 27 miles per hour. And the traffic volume decreased from 492 vehicles per day to 366. The volume between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., which was the highest time of traffic, decreased from 191 to 75 vehicles.
What were the dates for this study?
It was during the school time. Craig, do you remember the dates of the traffic counts? It was in June, correct?
Before the council, toward the end of April,
Okay.
and then toward the end of May, after the first week of June, the council and the students.
So about a month and a half roughly,
Right.
somewhere kind of close.
There's about 3 weeks solid. They were closed.
Got it, thank you.
So you can see, yeah. So one of the issues was that the students would park on, sorry, let's see here, go back. Go back to the map here. They would park on Eagle Bluff Lane and Cabrillo Way and then walk through this public walkway. There was some interest by the community in closing that off, but that's not possible because it is public dedicated right away. There's also issues related to this situation on Burt's Way, which if you look at the map, it is on, you can see on the map, it's right below the high school there. And that issue was not impacted by closing off Desi Lane. So it continues to be an issue with vehicles being parked there. Let's see. So with Desi Lane closed, there's first of all, we have the neighborhood who's has spoken about this. We've received some written response, and of those written comments, emails that we received, 6 were opposed to closing it permanently, and 1 person was in support. There's been about 2 to 3 accidents per year over the last 3 or 4 years, and they're just pretty much congestion-based accidents. So now that you have the information, as the commission, we'd like to get input from you as to what recommendations you would have. And then also, one more thing I'd like to mention is that the city is looking at implementing a traffic calming program. We've developed a draft, like a white paper that we're reviewing at this time to look at ways of addressing traffic calming in the city as the city continues to mature. We want to look at ways of addressing this that's programmatic, be able to bring these before the commission as they come up, things that we could do that would maybe help address these speeding issues or congestion issues. One of the things that we're looking at doing, and I think we're taking to council tomorrow night, is providing speed feedback trailers. And that has been proven to be helpful in reducing speeds in neighborhoods. So there's several things that we can look at ways of calming traffic. And of course, one of them is closing off roadways like we did with this pilot study. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
So the input you got from the community, this is it? Just the one person opposed and?
One person opposed.
one
Now
person in
verbally,
favor and six-
we've gotten some other input verbally, but of the written input that we have one person opposed.
I thought it was
Sorry,
six opposed,
one
one in
Six
favor.
opposed, one in favor.
One person in support. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got that
How,
backwards.
how was, like, how did you go about asking for that feedback? Was
Yeah,
there a
please, Craig,
meeting?
come on up.
Craig Branch, senior engineer. The 6 responses were actually before the street had been closed. They were comments that were written to the HOA board. And there were, at the time, there were, I think, we say 5 that were generally opposed to the concept and 1 that was supportive of it. But that was prior to the closure. So we really haven't gotten feedback after the closure.
And we have notified the community so they could be here to provide comments.
Do you know if these were topics of discussion in our neighborhood watch meetings in the area? I haven't attended any of those. I don't know if that was a matter of
I'm not aware of
conversation.
that.
And no feedback on that?
No.
Kind of along the same thread, I saw a neighborhood watch post today with concerns about same thing, kids parking and school drop-offs, congestion, just east of Scholar Way. On that map, where it says Hammer, that's actually Scholar, right? On the, where it shows the closures?
Let's see here. Hold up. So it's on this for this project here. It's
That's
on Desi Lane, where the closure is, but it's, so Scholar Way is to the east here.
It's where it says Hamner, right?
In front of the school, to the east of the school, says Hammer, that's on the scholar.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're right. It should be Scholar Way. Sorry
Are you
about that.
concerned about this congestion now moving over towards the area just east of Hamner, since there's also a parking lot over there where kids can walk to and be dropped off at?
That's always a possibility that the problem could move. And that is one other thing I wanted to mention too. The high school has been involved in this process, and they're certainly willing to provide additional support by, canvassing the neighborhood and possibly talking to students that do park in that area.
So there's really 2 different challenges here. The eastbound left that goes into the back parking lot behind the high school backs up. And sometimes it takes multiple cycles to get into that parking lot. So what people have found is that if they come straight down Sumner and weave their way through this neighborhood, they shoot straight across the intersection because they're no longer able to just make a quick right and make a U-turn and do that. That's one of the things that the last time we prevented it was people were just making a right when the left turn pocket was backed up and then heading north across the intersection. So that's one issue. The other issue is kids that don't want to park in the high school because the high school exit is regulated by the school. And so some students that, and I don't say that any resident students in Eastvale are doing this, but some students might have challenges for leaving the campus, and so they park over there so they can get off campus and then they can leave with their car midday or whatnot, and so and they don't, or the parking permits or whatever, and so so they do park over there, and we're working with the school on that issue as well because their students should be parking in the parking lot, and there's room for them in the parking lot.
I really feel like I understand that the school said that they were going to work with us, but I want to know specifically how. I mean, we're going to start considering closing out streets in our community because we continue to pack more and more students in a smaller and smaller space. And even if we close off that street, the cars aren't going anywhere. And I'd really like a much more involvement from the school district to help alleviate these problems. I know it's a beautiful school, my kids go to that school, but I really feel, and I felt this from the beginning, that these super schools that we're building are, we have to build it out. We have to have these schools built out in a way that can accommodate the volume. And it's the school additions that we've had, which are wonderful in a lot of ways, but those are impacting our families and our residents. And I'm not convinced that just blocking off that street will solve it. I mean, according to this study in this presentation, we still had parking problems on that street that leads out to Citrus directly across from the lot. So
Because the roadway didn't close off their ability to turn in on Burt's Way and park on Burt's Way.
Right.
Little known fact, Burt's Way was named after Bert Offlich, the person that built the home that we own right at the southwest corner of Scholar and Citrus there. So he, longtime
good
resident, since
trivia.
passed away. But he sold the land that built that subdivision right there. But so they can still access that intersection and get into that neighborhood. But we did see about 120 car decrease of cutting through that neighborhood.
no, it's per day, right?
Yeah, per
Which
day.
is a lot.
Yeah, and so, and that usually happens in a 15, 20-minute period. So it feels more like 600 cars going through there. If you look at that spread out over an hour, but it's really concentrated right before school starts. We don't see the problem as much in the afternoon when school school releases, but it's getting into the campus. And a lot of it's just because people are, their alarm clock, they hit snooze a couple extra times and then they're running late to school. And so they're trying to get in. And if everybody would just spread it out just a little bit, we can do it. But when you're trying to get 4,600 students or so onto a campus, and they do have zero period and they do have first period and they do have different other things that people are coming when they're starting at the school. And the parking lots are spread out on Scholar and Citrus. So there are some different nuances there, but it is still a lot of people coming to one place. So
Is the entrance from Orange still open through the back area? And can you get to the parking lot through there, or do you have to go through?
I don't believe the orange entrance is open.
It's not open?
No, it's not.
Oh. Is that, I remember
I
when
think
I
it's a
dropped
really
my
good
daughter
point
off there.
because
I would
it's
go
there,
through one.
it's accessible, and it's not
I love that
super
entrance.
wide. Yeah,
I
but
would go through.
it's interesting point because that would be something that I know it would take some capital on, some money on their part to make happen. But I
There
have a
has
lot
to
of
be
empathy
another
for the residents that
access.
live in this community. If we start blocking off streets that's only gonna be a partial fix, but it's still gonna inconvenience them. They're still gonna have a volume of traffic in that area, and then it's gonna be inconvenient as they move from street to street. And I have a little bit of a concern. Is there any way, if we were to consider looking at a permanent type of blockage, that it could be, I don't know, during certain hours, the high traffic hours? Is there something that would, we could consider that would be open during most of the day, but closed during the high traffic hours, maybe 3 hour span in the morning?
It's really only needed for about 30 minutes of the day. The challenge is who's responsible for opening and closing it and making sure the gate is fully open and fully secured. And because the last thing you want is a gate protruding out in the roadway that somebody comes around the corner at 25 miles an hour and impales their car with a gate, right? And so those are, does the HOA pay the city to come out there and do it? And we can't rely on a resident or an HOA to do that because it's a public street. And so, and then how do you communicate that this is a temporary closure with the proper signage and that this is a dead end closure sometimes? And then what if the fire department is expecting it to be open and it's not, or those kind of things. And so, there's a lot of nuances and challenges with that. It's not insurmountable. But I think we went through this process because the HOA board asked us to identify what is the real situation going on out here. And yes, there's about 120 people cutting through this neighborhood to get to the high school.
And yes, they're doing it at a high rate of speed or a higher rate of speed. When we close off the roadway, more of the traffic is more localized traffic and people from the neighborhood using the roadways rather than people cutting through the neighborhood. This neighborhood was never designed for people to cut through it to get to the high school. And so, but it's kind of like, how do you temporarily do something, right, and in a safe manner, right? And in a cost-effective manner too, because somebody going out there to open and close the gate, that's an expense as well. So, and just for your edification, our city engineer Bill mentioned that we're bringing to more changeable message signs or feedback signs to the council tomorrow night, because we have basically one and a half. One is on its last legs, and we're getting so many calls and requests from people in the community to move the message boards and the speed feedback signs that we said we need to have. And so we're looking at either the 2x3 kind, which is just the speed feedback signs, or 4x5, which could also be used in emergency response, or something where we could put a message on those and we can move them around in the event of a communication need. And so we're asking council for some feedback on that, but that's just so we can get around and respond to people faster, because when somebody asks for a speed feedback sign and we're not able to get to it because we have a list of other streets to get to before them, and one of them is breaking down on a regular basis, we wanted to have a little bit more reliability in that state.
I think it's good that we're trying something in the meantime, but what's the schedule as far as for reassessing to see if it actually works? You know, school goes back, what, next month?
So it was already assessed. We did a before and after study. We put the closure in place. That was brought before this body to highlight that we were going to do this. So we did the analysis. We did the before and after study, or before and during study, I should say, with the road closure. And this is the data that we're presenting to you today. So that was the pilot project. And so really we're looking, and you probably need to ask for public comment at some point, do you want us to take this to council to recommend a full closure because it's addressing the safety concern of the neighborhood, or what are your thoughts and recommendations that we can be taking? We really wanted to make sure the Public Safety Commission had a voice in this, because it is a quality of life and a public safety issue when people are speeding through a residential neighborhood.
I probably should rephrase my question. We have numbers and stats on how many vehicles go through there, but we mentioned, you know, looking at the other areas, see if it spills over now, because people are going to adapt, you know, to the closures. And are we at some point going to look to see if it's affected, you know, basically move the problem?
So
Yeah, the impact of the other surrounding communities.
So
like,
the
since
so the
it was
parking
one.
the parking issue didn't the parking on south of Citrus did not move anywhere because it still remained there once the road closure was. They just entered off of that intersection that's right across the highway from the high school. So the parking remained there. So the parking didn't move anywhere. It was just the people cutting through there rather than using the eastbound left into the parking lot. And so and we evaluated, did that eastbound left back up any more abnormally than, and we didn't, to my knowledge, see a huge increase in the queue. And so the cars figured out a way to get into the high school without cutting through the neighborhood. And so we basically removed 120 cars cutting through the residential neighborhood with that project.
So is the bigger issue the parking or
There were two.
cars speeding?
There are two issues. One was the cut through traffic and the speeding in the neighborhood. The second was the parking, and they're two separate issues.
Was one of them more significant than the
So
other?
we were not able to address the parking issue because we didn't
Yeah.
do anything to address the parking issue, and so that's something we need to continue to work on with the high school. But we were able to address the cut through traffic.
It would be nice in the residents, I think, of that area.
It would. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir,
on
we
this
do.
issue?
We have Alan.
Thank you, Commissioners, for letting me speak on this. My name is Alan Rubenstein. I live at 7570 Granja Vista Del Rio, which is on the southeast corner of Burt's Way and Granja Vista Del Rio. So I see the traffic every morning when there's school. I appreciate the city engineers doing the study. There was a lot of congestion, people pulling U-turns, blocking intersections when RSO was out there. Thank God they're there sometimes to cite people, and parents worse than the students. But there's a lot of congestion, so we asked if we can do a proof of concept and block off the lane. Now, that was a permanent barrier. What we're looking at is a gate with a Knox box, and we have to have a median, where our security company could close it at 6:45 a.m., open it up at 8 a.m., because that's when the traffic occurs. And that would allow our residents and others to go through there. Of course, RSO and fire, they would have the key as well, because they have the Knox box there. So that would address that issue in a fair manner, which would allow our residents to go through as well, because some of them complain, well, I can't get through after I drop my kids off. Well, if it's closed during that small section, that would alleviate that, because there's a lot of congestion. And when it was closed, what some parents would do is drop their student off, pull you in the middle of the street on Cabrillo, stand there and wait and cause more traffic issues while their dear child was walking through the passageway, which is a separate issue which I'll speak to. So if you have road closed ahead, the only ones who should be concerned about it are actually the residents and maybe their guests. But having this as an issue, the parking is another issue, and we're looking at petitioning for a sign so that we can have one side of the street parking only. And that may help, in addition to working with the school, which I've written to the principal several times, and he really doesn't care what happens outside of the campus. That's the impression I got, may be wrong. As far as the passageway, we did not know that the city had the right-of-way. It was a public right-of-way. The only public that really goes through most of the time is our residents. And right now, there was some damage, and people do damage there. They broke the ballards, and when we found out that it was being city property, we said, okay, well, we're not going to pay to replace those light bollards. It's $3,000 out of our HOA. And we also do the plant maintenance and everything else, and we would petition the city to vacate that so we could put up a gate with a key code so our residents could pass through that gateway and not have other people, because there's other things that go on at night. People break the bollard so they can smoke a little weed or do whatever else they want. So that's why we're asking for those three. The issues come together. But as far as the traffic issue, I think having a gate with a Knox box on it would really resolve the issue. It would remain open. We have a security company. They're bonded, they're liable, it's Hook Security. And that's what would occur is that they would open it, close it at 6:45, open it at 8 a.m., and it would remain open all night until the next morning. So.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you for coming forward. I appreciate it.
That's the only card we have. But
Okay.
do you?
Well, I appreciate hearing from you, a
I
resident.
believe we have someone that does want to speak.
All right.
If you can just please state your name for the record.
Sure, yeah, sorry, I just found out a meeting today, so I didn't prepare a card or anything. My name is Leif Olson. I live at 13321 Eagle Bluff Lane. And this is actually the reason that I came was this incident you're discussing now. While the barrier was in place, we noticed a significant decrease in the traffic coming across, and it actually made it much easier to get out of our driveway. Right now, between 7:15 and 8 a.m., it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to actually get out of a driveway for us to leave our own home. And then if we're coming back after dropping kids off at school or things like that, we also cannot cross the traffic to get back into our driveways, depending on which way we go. So we have to actually route around this own problem just to live in our own community. The other thing is that it was announced that this meeting was actually happening at the Eastvale Community Center on the PDF that came out from the HOA. It's actually on a PDF, so that's why I was 25 minutes late. There may have been other people who also were misdirected, and that might also be why you're not receiving as much feedback, not just tonight, but in general. On the HOA newsletters, we're really not seeing enough information that you want the feedback. And other than maybe a Facebook page, and I don't use Facebook, we really have no way of feeding back information to this committee.
Well, I appreciate you coming out today. So I gather you're in favor of some type of closure restriction. During the trial period, what did you think?
it was great. I was actually able to leave my house whenever I wanted. Didn't have to worry about crossing the street. That's another thing. I go across the street, talk to my neighbor, and we literally run between cars because the cars are going pretty quickly down that road. A lot of them drive on the wrong side of the road. They're consuming the entire street itself. They're fairly narrow streets as it is. So I'm very much in favor of putting the barrier up.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay,
I
thank you.
appreciate your feedback.
Chairperson Dinko, I want to apologize on behalf of my team. We made a mistake on the agenda. And last meeting in June, as you know, we had a special meeting over at the community center, and inadvertently we did not change it back to City Hall council chambers for the meeting tonight. And so it was posted for the wrong location, and we appreciate coming over, and we apologize about the delay. So.
I think we're probably close to wrapping this one up, but I appreciate the comments from the public and the residents. Certainly from a public safety standpoint, anytime we can keep non-residents out of an area, especially at that volume, that's enhances the safety and the livability of that community. I'm concerned about that heavy traffic. I would support, at least my position, for this conversation, I support a barrier if that's what the residents are interested in. I'm just a little, I like the idea of having something that's movable. Knox box is a nice option, but I also appreciate your comments with regarding to movability, and 1 minute it's accessible and next minute it's not. So I can appreciate the challenges that might present as well. So maybe a permanent barrier is something that might help reduce it, but it doesn't sound like it's going to completely solve it. Even if a decision is made by the council to move forward with some type of permanent barrier, I still very strongly would like to reach out to the school district. 5,000 students on the campus is a lot, and having other ways to access the parking lot, I think it's worthy of engaging them on that. I know that north side gate is typically closed and locked out. It'd be nice if some type of additional access could be opened up. Getting students onto campus is hard. I try to bring my kids on campus, and it's really, really hard. You have to leave exceptionally early to get it done. And although I think, I do believe they care, sometimes the STEM Academy was not originally planned in the initial first design of it, and we have a very tough parking problem. So I still think it's worthy in engaging the school district and the school. And I know the principal, Mr. Goins, cares a lot about the community, but he's not the only a person making decisions on big capital improvement projects with regard to campus building projects. So maybe the school district could be reached out to, and maybe talking about opening up access on the north side might help.
We have regular meetings, and our next scheduled meeting with the district is August 8th or something like that. So we will sit down and visit with them and share we will convey the concern of the Public Safety Commission.
Do we want to have a motion for an official recommendation to the council? I mean, I don't know how you feel.
I agree.
Do you have a
with
feeling on
the-
that?
Yes, I feel same way you do, that based on the comments and the study, sounds positive.
I also agree, based on the comments too from the public.
Okay, maybe I'll make a motion to recommend establishing a permanent barricade on Desi Lane for the interest of public safety, and recommend that our city of Eastville continue to engage CNUSD with regard to relieving traffic problems in our Estancia community. Hopefully addressing issues such as increasing access to the parking areas, and not only off Citrus, but off of the Orange Street side as well. I think it's fair request of the city to ask CNUSD to be a partner in problem solving this.
I second.
Commissioner Fitch?
Yes.
Commissioner Varela,
Aye.
Chair Dinko. Motion passes 3-0.
Do we now have our presenters? I'd like to welcome Kat McDonald for a presentation at Tailgate Fest. Are you ready?
So we'll have Allison and Melissa come up and speak.
Allison and Melissa, welcome. Thank you for coming out today.
Hi there.
Hello, welcome.
All right. Hi there. I'm Melissa. You guys can stand up.
You have to speak into the microphone.
Yeah. I'm Melissa Carbone and Allison Richards.
Hi.
We're the founders and the producers and promoters of Tailgate Fest. This is Juan,
Juan Alvarado with Red Rock Entertainment.
who's our heading up production, traffic, safety, all of the good pieces of a music festival. So we're here. We're excited to be here. I know we spoke at the last, I guess maybe 2 ago or 3 ago that you guys were here, and we talked a little bit about Tailgate Fest in general. But I know this is public safety, so in terms of the structural layout of the event, how it's going to impact the community, we just wanted to be here and open it up for any questions that anybody could have about those specific items.
Okay, I haven't had the opportunity to see a prior presentation, so I'll just have a few questions.
Sure.
But how many access points of entry and exit would we have for the event?
As far as entrance, it's going to be one, which would be off of Scholar, and that would be between Lemonite and 58th. Exit points would be Scholar and Lemonite and reduce any traffic on Hamner. So everything would be pushed towards the west and then down towards the north to Belgrade.
So Chairperson Dinko, the promoters as well as Red Rock worked really closely with RSO as well as our CAL FIRE Fire Department to identify an entry point. And one of the components is shutting down Scholar between Limonite and 58th for all. Yeah, Limonite and Belgrave, so that we can use Scholar as an access point and an entry point. And so we will be wrapping cars up Scholar from Limonite, and then about halfway up or so, there will be a gate entrance and a roadway into the site. And so there'll be a quarter mile there and a half mile all the way back over to Hamner, where we will then stage them and take tickets how do I say it? The
Screen entry.
security checkpoint for
Yeah,
all
right.
cars. So all cars, and that's where our canines will be there to sweep all cars, and there will be checks on all cars for anything that is on the webpage that isn't allowed, and to make the event as safe as possible. And so there will be like 15, 20 lanes there in which everybody can get, and then they can go to their tailgating location. I think on Friday afternoon, we're gonna open it up so the RVs can come in on Friday, and we can handle all the RVs on Friday night, so that we just have the general admission people coming in on Saturday morning, but the RVs can still come in.
So I've never attended a tailgate fest, so I'm not really sure how it lays out. So
Okay.
RVs are gonna be allowed.
Do we have a
vehicles-
thumb drive with a map so we can show it?
Do you have the map with you?
Or do
So
we
I
have it?
expected that everybody here had already seen what we did last time, so I can give you a broad 30,000 view, kind of look at Tailgate Fest, so that we can actually get our handle on what it is. So Tailgate Fest, for those of you who were not here last time, it's a country music festival, August 17th and 18th. That's going to take place at the Leal Ranch, just across the street. This is a festival that's in its second year. Last year, it took place in its inaugural year at the Forum in Los Angeles. We did about 10,000 people at the Forum. Tailgate Fest is unique in that it incorporates the tailgating piece into the infrastructure, into the perimeter of the festival. So typically when you go to like Glen Helen or you go to any of the football games, the tailgating happens outside of the venue. It's, you know, cars, vehicles that set up these little worlds around their vehicles with tents and cornhole and grills and coolers, and they play games and they listen to music, and it's tailgating as we all know it. And then the concert starts and they go into the arena and pack up their tailgates. Tailgate Fest is the first festival that actually puts its arms around that piece and puts policy on it, puts infrastructure on it, assigns security, and actually regulates that piece. In addition to that, so you can actually tailgate and watch the show. So there's a vantage point of the actual concert. So the tailgate doesn't stop when the show starts. Is our tagline. Additionally, you can watch the show the traditional way. We have a big standing room area in front of the stage that holds, you know, about probably 15,000 people. So you can watch it the traditional way, and then you can also watch it from our side stage viewing platform, which is a pool. It's like a you know, I don't know, a couple of feet deep water pool. We have 2 days of artists. Headliners are Brantley Gilbert on night 1 and Brett Eldridge on night 2. And then there's a bunch of supporting acts. So we're doing a total of 12 artists throughout the 2 nights. And with the 2-day event, there is camping. So there is a camping infrastructure and footprint. The campers will come in on Friday as early as 3 p.m. and be able to start loading in that day in an effort to kind of try to mitigate everybody coming into the festival at the same time. So this is actually a good traffic kind of, you know, minimizer. But then the actual show itself will open for gates at 10 a.m. on Saturday. The show is over by 10:45 to 11 o'clock Saturday night. People leave, come back Sunday, same time, gates are at 10 a.m. And then the same exiting time will be 10:45 to 11 o'clock for those people to leave as well. Campers will stay overnight and be out by 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Any questions on that so far?
No.
Okay, cool. Do you have your thumb drive? Cool. So Red Rock is the producer of the event. They've been with us since last year. Red Rock is Ford Engelert, who has arguably produced more shows around the country than any other producer probably alive. He was the premier producer for Live Nation for many, many years and is responsible for all of the U2 world tours, Jay-Z world tours, Metallica, Kenny Chesney. He's done them all, 100,000 person shows and, you know, 1,000 person shows and everything in between. So he's the best in the biz, and some of you have met him already, some of you haven't. Juan is on his team. And this is, if you want to look behind you, this is a footprint of the Leal Ranch. So what you're looking at is, this is the south side of the property. Is that, yeah, south side. Yeah, so this is the south side of the property. And so to the left, you'll see a small black square. That's the stage. The green area and the pink area in front of it will be the standing room only, and everything you see to the right of that, that is tailgating. And everything behind that is where we'll be RV camping. Any questions on this so far?
And RV camping is where in orientation to the screen?
Right.
West of the stage,
Oh, okay, got it. I see.
west and north of the stage.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want to go through the ins and outs of traffic?
So you can see where the traffic pattern with that yellow roadway that goes along, and I think it'll be 2 lanes wide coming inbound. So we'll be able to stack up a lot of cars to reduce any impact onto the city streets while or minimize as much as possible as they're coming in and get them moving in.
The objective is to get all of the cars off of the surface streets as quickly as possible into the property, where we'll queue them up and process them there. So taking them around all of, you know, down Limonite, Hamner, up Scholar, down the yellow road, and then where you see the green square of switchbacks at the bottom right-hand corner is where we'll actually be processing the vehicles, scanning tickets, looking inside the cars, etc. And there's how many rows of scanning is there?
We would be doing 20 search lanes, which would equate to roughly about 800 cars on the property at one time.
So that's significant. We're moving cars quickly. So, and obviously in an effort to mitigate the traffic on the surface streets. Any questions so far about this?
Not so far.
Okay.
Are you selling tickets differently for tailgaters versus pedestrians?
There is, well, they're really pedestrians, meaning people who aren't tailgating.
I'm just curious, you have a count of vehicles versus pets.
We have head counts, yes, we have head counts, and then will have a capacity of, that will fill for tailgating. And the same for RV. So typically, we count on about 2 to 3 people per car, and we're selling tickets per person, not per car. In the RV camp, we're selling tickets per RV.
Okay, so when they purchase, they're not purchasing a vehicle pass, they're just purchasing per person.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Are the tickets valid, same ticket valid for both days, or is it separate tickets?
Nope, they're both, all tickets are for both days. We're not selling single day tickets at this point, yeah.
If an attendee were want to leave their vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
do they leave their vehicle, or do they have to take their vehicle from one day to the next, like a truck?
Yeah, there's no overnight parking on the vehicle, so people would leave. If they're not, if they don't feel comfortable to leave because they've been drinking,
Right.
just like at any other concert,
Yeah.
they can leave their car in Uber and we'll get it towed somewhere off the property at their own expense. And this is, a policy everybody's familiar with because it's listed on our website. But no, we're not allowing vehicles to stay on the property, which is a good thing. That will, all that would do is if that policy were out there that people thought they could leave their cars, they would plan to drink too much
Yeah.
and leave their cars and.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So,
I was
yeah.
just curious.
Yeah.
I don't have
No,
a
it's
position one way or another.
No, it's a question we get a lot, so yeah, it's all
Yeah.
good, yeah.
And is there any accommodation for people who do want to leave, but they're unable to because of drinking, like for like Lyft or Ubers, or do we have an area for them for pickups or drop-offs, or?
We do, so 58th is gonna be closed down and that'll be the official Uber and Lyft rideshare drop-off. So Uber is a partner of ours, so we have a pretty extensive relationship with them for this festival.
Are ticket holders able to bring in alcohol, or is it only alcohol purchased on the property?
Nope, you can bring in alcohol. So just like any typical tailgate, people can bring in alcohol. They can bring in coolers. They can use small, portable propane grills, tents, games. It's anything you've ever seen at a tailgate. It's the exact same thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You got it. You got it. What haven't I hit that we're interested in?
Maybe in terms of medical care, this is probably something that you've been doing planning with Riverside Sheriffs. I understand they're going to have force protection as part of the security piece, but in terms of people who have any type of medical issue, do we have any medical personnel that's planned to be there? Like
We'll have
AMR?
a fire engine and fire personnel and a medic station there as well.
Yeah, from the standpoint of security and fire and PD, and it's it's a robust force. We have private shirts, we have PD, we have fire, we have EMTs. It's a pretty robust force in that way. Last year, just to kind of give you some background, we were at the forum. It was the very first time an event like this had taken place there. We had 0 incidents, 0 arrests, 0 drunken disorderly behavior, and 0 injuries with 10,000 people at an event that they had never done before. The Inglewood Police Department gave us rave reviews, actually wrote us a letter of recommendation saying it was one of the most enjoyable events that they've hosted at the forum in a long time. And the lieutenant there actually lives in Eastvale, or Norco. Norco, actually, yeah, lives in Norco.
It's close, yeah.
Yeah, it's close.
Eastville South.
Yeah. Yeah, so he actually is close by, so, we have letters of recommendation as well from them and a bunch of other sources. So it was, overall, this event, it's a population of people who are really happy to be there. Tailgate, we say that we're the festival that was created by fans for the fans. Because it is, it's this like weird camaraderie that you don't have at normal festivals, because like you're in your car and you have all of your favorite things and you're with your people and you're not being forced into an arena where you have to drink lukewarm beer and eat nasty hot dogs, so everyone's happy. And so, I think that definitely helps to the kind of demeanor of the event. It's not a troublemaking, fighting, just drunken and disorderly crowd at all. So which is funny because people expect that it would be, and it's just not. Yeah.
Sure, you brought up a good point. What is the access point for ambulances? They have to enter to pick somebody up. Is that something we're going to rip off or a fire race to leave the property, right?
So we'll have somebody on site, we'll have a unit on site, and we'll have Simon's Medical as well. If you look at the map, right behind the stage, there's an access road there There's, directly behind the stage, there's a green line that leads onto Scholar. That would be the dedicated emergency entrance for fire to come in through that point. We also have an actual gate that we would utilize for, it's not called out on that map, but on the southwest corner of Scholar, that's where we would have the sheriff command as well.
Thank you. That's my question.
What else?
No, can I add something? Sure.
I-
Just really quick, I'm, Mel's personal assistant and.
You gotta come up to the front.
Oh, to the mic? Okay. Really quick.
Hi, I'm Mel's personal assistant and an assistant for the Tailgate Fest. So I'm new to working with Mel, but one thing I really love about Tailgate Fest, and I've worked with tons of festivals and marketing and a bunch of stuff, is there's a huge zero waste aspect of the festival, which is great. So instead of having a bunch of brochures and like flyers and things that have the schedule printed out in them, then they print out thousands and thousands, Coachella, wherever, and they're just all over the ground. People don't use them that much. We have just big signs that just give you the schedule and the list of all the activities that are happening throughout the day. So that eliminates a lot of paper, a lot of trash. And then on top of that, they partnered with a company called Wild Gear. Wild Gear is a cup, and they also have this like wonderful, like I believe 14-ounce cup. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that cup to different vendors and stuff to fill out that cup with a refill, and as opposed to just like getting those plastic cups or whatever and throwing them out when you're done. People are going to actually want to keep this cup no matter how drunk you are. You're like, I want this cup. So that's a cool part about it is the cups and the paper, and in general, Mel's very big on zero waste.
Bree.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bree.
that's my favorite thing about the festival. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Bree.
So there's food and
It's
alcohol
good when your assistant's a fan.
available? Food and alcohol available?
There's food, so we have, we've partnered with concessionaire Best Beverages, Best Bev, who does Coachella and Stagecoach and basically every major festival around the country. So they're our concessionaire, and aside from people bringing in their own food and beverage, we'll also have in the main festival area, which is that green and pink and blue area, we'll have regular bars, and we'll have food concessions, all of the things that you would expect to have at a festival as well.
That's great. And we know Riverside Sheriff's Department does a great job, but you have your own security personnel. Do you have like rough numbers? A lot of people are interested in kind of numbers, roughly how many security personnel that you bring into the event.
We don't want to give out real numbers, but let's just say hundreds.
I can tell you, we have one of the more robust security armies out there. And that comes from, I don't know how many people know our past, but the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride was one of the first things that we created, and both of us are from iHeartMedia. I ran iHeartMedia Los Angeles for 10 years before starting the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride with Allison, who just was the senior VP of iHeart until about a year ago. So both of us have a pretty robust background in event production and promoting. We created the LA Haunted Hayride that turned into a company that now we have, has 25 Halloween attractions all over the country. That's, selling 1 million tickets in the month of October just across, Halloween events. So from an event standpoint, we couldn't be crazier about safety and about infrastructure. So, and I think that shows at Tailgate Fest, and I think anybody that was there last year would agree with that. So from a security standpoint, I don't think there's anything that we're paying more attention to.
And Commissioner Dinko, if I can add, we're gonna have 2 different command posts, one inside the venue for interior security, and then one also outside on probably 58th and Scholar to handle our traffic and the neighborhoods around the area, so.
Awesome, I appreciate that. There's a lot of conversation in our community about the event, and some are really excited about it. Some are maybe not quite as warm.
We hear it all.
But I'm sure it's gonna be a great event. I appreciate the presentation. Do my commissioners have any other questions?
Just one question. What's the rationale behind no one-day passes? Prevent overcrowding on a certain day, or why 2-day passes only?
Because I think if we were a 50, 60,000 person festival, I think it would probably warrant it. But at this point, I'm not saying we won't do them. We're not planning on doing them. But I think at this point, we're reserving the capacity for people who want to be there for both days.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. We're really excited to be in Eastvale, and we hope after this is over, everybody is begging us to come back because we love the Leal Ranch, and everybody's been very helpful and great to work with.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thank
much
you.
for your presentation and your time.
Okay, you got it.
So one
Thank
thing
you.
that I just wanted to highlight, if you don't listen to country music, it's all over the radio station that this is happening in Eastville, California, all over Southern California. And then if you haven't driven on any of the freeways in Southern California, there's a couple hundred, if not more, billboards saying Tailgate Fest and promoting this event. And I think it's even on some 20-story building
I'm
down
gonna show
Santa
it to you
Monica
right now.
Boulevard or something like that. So, you know.
There it is. There it is on
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, there it is on Sunset Strip. It's like on the biggest building on Sunset Strip.
So it's
That would've been a showstopper.
So yeah, I think, and then all the musicians have been posting on their Instagram and social media pages that they're excited to be coming to Eastville on August 17th or 18th. And so, you know, if the world is following these country music stars and they're like, where's Eastville? We're getting a lot of hits on social media right now, so which is really nice.
The last thing I would say is just that we pride ourselves on maintaining a tradition and establishing great relationships with cities wherever we have events that we bring to that city. So we're not a one and done type of festival. We want to establish a great relationship with you guys. We hope to be here for as many years as you'll have us. So we appreciate all of this.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chairman, I don't know if you want to open up to the public if they have any questions.
Do we have any members of the public who'd like to talk about Tailgate Fest? Come on up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Good evening, Council. My name's Herb Srill. I did because I have a couple questions. You made a comment on the yellow line where the car's going to be double stacked at 11 o'clock at night, so they're all going to, the egress is going back in the same direction towards Scholar Way. That would be one of my questions, because at 11 o'clock at night with the number of cars going through there, I mean, you still have citizens that would like to get some sleep at night. The other thing you ask about the paid pedestrian ways, if they're paying for pedestrians, where are the pedestrians parking? And I know I missed the neighborhood watch because I was out of town on the Berry Hill neighborhood watch meeting. I know that was kind of addressed. There's going to be but our neighborhood's going to be blocked, so we don't have those cars parking, just like the school problem where we have people parking for hours with their wagons full of beer walking into the event.
Sure. So we can help address both of those questions. And I'll let Lieutenant speak to the egress, because we have multiple paths that they'll be able to evacuate or exit the property. We did meet with the HOA and the homeowners association out there. We will be closing off hard closures all streets that are on 58th and Scholar to protect those residential neighborhoods over there. We will have security and roving traffic enforcement in those neighborhoods. And so the goal is to get all the cars inside. If somebody were coming and being dropped off, there's an Uber and Lyft drop-off area. If for some reason they don't want to drive and they want to Uber and Lyft to the event and just hang out in the pit or in the VIP pool or wherever they want to be, they can do that on the property, and that can be done. But you know, we will have patrols going into the Eastville Gateway to make sure that cars aren't parking over here and in the shopping centers, and we'll be able to. The access points will be fairly limited and restricted, so we'll be able to see where people are crossing the streets, and if they're crossing the streets from there, we'll remind them to go move their cars, because their cars will get towed out of there by those establishments. So we are working really closely with the HOA and the neighborhood association up there. I honestly say in my entire career, I've never walked out of an HOA with what almost felt like an applause for bringing an event right next to homeowners. That we addressed a lot of issues, and I think we did a fairly good job of addressing many of the concerns that the residents had. And I'm hoping that everybody, especially with the stage pointed in the opposite direction towards the retail commercial, that the noise from the music will be going away from the residents and not towards the residents, because behind the stage is pretty quiet for music festivals. But because the speakers are pointed in the opposite direction. But like you said, there will be a curfew later in the evening after the music stops, just like at a campground. Hey, everybody go to bed and get a good night's sleep because we're gonna have fun tomorrow.
I appreciate that, Brian, and I got a lot of good feedback, Lieutenant, from the Neighborhood Watch on that meeting as well. My only question was on that egress. Is there any chance on the egress coming? The ingress was coming in off of Scholar Way. The egress, any chance of it going east, dumping out onto Hamner on the open highway? Because at 11 o'clock at night, there shouldn't be that much traffic.
Well, the only issue we had was the short distance from that to that light at Hamner and Limonite. We'd back up too much. We have 3 different exits, basically. Going out on that dirt road back to Scholar is one of the exits, and then they'll be all forced north on Scholar to Belgrave, and then Belgrave out of the area up to Hamner, and then north on Hamner. Our second exit is gonna be Limonite, right around Cloverdale Marketplace. We're gonna open basically, I don't know, a 30-foot fence and gate, and we're gonna open that, and we're gonna let everybody go out south. And then we also have PEDs exiting out onto Hamner, well, not on the street, but on the walkway, going north on Hamner to 58th, where all the Ubers and Lyfts are gonna be. So we technically have 3 different exits for the event.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Anything more from my commissioners?
No.
I just want to say thank you to both CAL FIRE and RSO. They've been a great partner and along with our planning and engineering team at City Hall. It's been a very collaborative process, and the promoters as well as Red Rock have been a great promoters to work with on this event, and along with the Leals. So the Leal family has been really part of this process as well. So, it's everybody's working to create a fun, safe event that can help showcase Eastville and help put Eastville on the map, and give our residents as well as people in this region an opportunity to come and experience the great city we have here at Eastville.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I believe this brings us to the public comments portion of our evening. Do we have any members of the public that would like to address the commission?
Yes, sir. I have one speaker card from Christian DaCosta.
Welcome.
Former Public Safety Commissioner.
Good evening. Good evening, commissioners, city staff, Riverside Sheriff's Department, or Eastville PD.
Good evening.
I have a cause for concern on July 13th, Saturday, at about 8 p.m. I was at Dairyland Park. There's 2 dog parks, and there's a water play splash pad. And my family and I happened to be at that park outside of the dog park area, just a public right-of-way to facilitate or utilize the park at its capacity, all the walkways around and near the restroom building, which is just outside the larger dog park area. And a 6-year-old child, happened to be my daughter, was pursued by a pit bull. While I was holding up the rear and my family was nearby, and my wife happened to approach the couple that was, in my opinion, irresponsible dog ownership, unleashed their pit bull, did not put him on the leash during the 2 gates of exit from the dog park. As a result, the dog was unleashed, escaped the gated area from where they can put him on the leash, chased my daughter, and thereby we had the slight incident where my daughter was then traumatized by this dog who was pursuing her. Fortunately, the dog did not attack, bite, or harm her. It was more a lot of bickering between adults at that point. My cause for concern is that we have this issue that's now reared its ugly head and presented an issue for my family and I with regard to public safety. So I come to you in hopes that you might present it to the council tomorrow evening. I won't be able to make the city council meeting on Wednesday as I'm pretty tight with Wednesday night meetings. But I would hope that you would be able to share this information. I do have an animal control report number. That number is A as in Adam 19-182704. I know that we have had animal control at our Public Safety Commission meetings in the past and would hope that they might be able to address my concern as well as reach out and contact me. They do have my information. I also spoke with Monica from JCSD, who's going to forward my information to the JCSD supervisors that she's in contact with, as well as there's a park ranger that could be employed to do his diligence. I've also received and communicated with Samantha McKenzie with the city of Eastvale, and I hope to see increased education and advisement before necessary enforcement, and I'm not sure animal control can track that with individual offenders and dog owners, but hope that this is addressed as a public safety concern for not just myself and my family, but the citizens and residents of Eastvale. That's all I have. Under 3 minutes.
Thank you. Do we know who the resident is, where they live, or their names by any
So
chance?
the issue of concern also is that a lot of the people that use this park, Dairyland Park, which is a larger dog park as it has 2 parks for large dogs and small dogs, people drive from all over to come to these dog parks. They're very accommodating and have, playground equipment for the dogs. So it's an abundance of outside residents that I believe utilizes the park, not just residents of Eastvale.
Well, I'm familiar with the dog park, and I know we do have signage up that explains the rules that should be followed, but everybody doesn't always follow those rules. I'm not sure if we have, I haven't seen them lately, so I don't remember if that signage is still legible. I think that's worthy of maybe another look. Of course, one of the things I like about this dog park is there's a separation between the inside and the outside. So responsible dog owners can properly leash their animals before they leave. In this case, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something we can do to, add a bit of public information to our community for those who do live here, because it could be a resident, could be an outsider, could be a resident, and to remind them to leash them when they come to the park, because we do have another dog park at Harada. We see a lot of folks bringing their dogs, and they don't always bring them on the leash like they should. And maybe if we could get a little bit more enforcement and attention, and maybe a little public information piece to remind people to bring them leashed, that could be maybe a first step, at least in this case.
I appreciate that, Chairperson.
I'm sorry to see this happen.
It's all right.
Everybody.
I am too, and I wasn't at the scene. I think it would have been handled all wrong.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. In light of the last presentation by Christian DaCosta, I may reach out later this week about what we have at that park, and any thoughts on something we might be able to do with further public education. We have a way to deliver information to the city, not only through Facebook, but through our direct mailers. Maybe designing something to add a little public education piece might be a good thought. So I think that might be something good for conversation.
We can work with you to direct that to the Harupa Community Services District, because they are the ones that operate and maintain the parks. And so, but yes, we can work with they've been very accommodating. We work really collaboratively with them.
Excellent, thank you.
Do our animal enforcement officers, animal control officers, do they patrol those parks, to just kind of randomly check on things?
I don't know if they include the parks on their patrols. They are in our city, and our city council just authorized a full-time animal control officer for our city. So we used to have a part-time, and now we have a full-time. And so, and Mayor Todd Rigby and I myself
went over to the Riverside County Animal Control Facility and met with the head of animal control officers, and I don't know what rank he is. I can't recall that, but they run.
I think he's top dog.
Yeah, top dog. Yeah. The top dog officer. And they have a great humane society. So if you have an opportunity to go over to adopt a cat or a dog, or it's a great facility over there, very clean, and they have a great adoption process.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments?
No, sir, we don't.
Brings us to our city staff report.
Yes, I'll let Johnny follow me up if he has anything that he'd like to add on. I've introduced you, right? The community enhancement and safety manager, Johnny, is new to our city, and we're very excited to have him on board. We also have a new another part of safety in our community is our building official, and Jerry, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Arilano. I got it close. If you can wave so they can see who you are. He's a certified building inspector, official, plan examiner, and building inspector with more than 20 years of industry experience. He has a bachelor's degree in architecture and gained leadership and administrative skills while self-employed as a general contractor. So not only is he an architect, not only is he a general contractor, but he's also a building official. So he's got kind of the trifecta of all the people that he could be dealing with and working with out there. Jerry's familiar with providing building inspection and plan review services to multiple municipalities in Orange and Los Angeles County. He has also served as a building official and deputy building official in the cities of Mission Viejo and Rancho Santa Margarita. And so we are excited to have him on our team. He is replacing a long time. I think he has over 50 years of service in his career, but he's finally wanting to hang out with his grandkids more than us. And so Tim Steenson has announced his retirement and is going to head up the hill and not head back down the hill. So very often to work with us in the morning. So we're going to miss Tim a lot, and he has big shoes to fill, but we're excited to have Jerry on board and see how he's able to serve our residents and businesses in Eastville. So that's a great addition. The other thing, on July 30th, we have a public safety workshop on public safety for our community workshop on public safety. And so we encourage public safety commissioners and to share and have people show up. We'd love to have a great community thoughtful conversation about what public safety could mean in Eastville. And what's important to our Eastville residents and businesses. And so please encourage people to participate. That it's July 30th. It's I believe a Tuesday night or something like that. And then we have a council meeting tomorrow night, and we had a great State of the City dual event last week. A business luncheon on Wednesday, our first ever, which was sold out a week in advance. And then we had the free community event followed by the Taste of Eastville. And if you haven't seen the great video that was produced, it really highlights a lot of the accomplishments in the city that you should all be very proud, including a 4.5-star hotel, Tony's Chop House by the Meat Cellar, and Heroes Restaurant and Brewery, all coming to Eastville over the next year. So we are excited that we were able to hear what the residents' needs and concerns were and actually deliver them within a year, which is almost unheard of in local government. So we're very excited about that.
That's super exciting. It's a great video and a nice announcement on that property and all the businesses that are coming in. That's fantastic.
And it highlights our public safety personnel in the video. And at that night, we identified our community honoree, Eleanor Roosevelt High School, and Dr. Jeremy Goins. So, the great work that they're doing, serving our community and having all sorts of athletic and academic and music and drama awards and championships and all sorts of things. So it's amazing the talented kids that our residents are producing and our school is producing. So that was a great honor to be part of that night. So And the mayor gave a pretty great speech too, so, and we had some great, performances by our youth in the community. We had a Bollywood dance, we had, the Chinese dragons up there, and we had some drums, and we had, the rock stars for tomorrow, so there was quite a great turnout, so. And then, the Taste of Eastville was an amazing food experience right afterwards, and so it's like going to Costco and getting to shop and eat at the same time. It was a great event, so we're coming down off that nice high.
Excellent. There was a lot going on for our city over the last month. Excellent. Thank you. Do we have any commission communications that we want to add from our commissioners?
There's one issue that was brought up, not last meeting, but the meeting prior, regarding this Vandermolen School with the crosswalk issue. I was just wondering if there was any update with that.
We sure do have an update on that. There was a collision out there with a pedestrian, but it was at 2:15 at night, so it was not a school-related pedestrian collision that many in the community quickly thought happened. There were a lot of circumstances to that collision that we can't go into detail right here. But the mother that was on the south side of that roadway was asking about how to get across the roadway. So we sat down with the engineering team and we looked at a number of different ways. The bridge is 2 lanes and it's about 250 feet away from that, or 450 feet away from that intersection. And so we don't need to send 4 lanes to a 2-lane bridge. So one of the things that we were considering, much like what we did on Scholar between 58th and Belgrave out there, is to narrow up the roadway just past that intersection so that they can cross over that roadway to the sidewalk on the other side, which leads them right to Vandermolen Elementary School. And so narrowing up that crossing so that the school-aged children aren't crossing a 4-lane roadway where people are trying to jockey in front of each other at high speeds to make it to the bridge first. And so really start that transition right before that intersection.
Oh, I see. So it narrows before that. So you're only crossing a 2-lane as opposed to a 4?
Right.
I see.
And so we have a big residential slurry seal project that we're gonna be hopefully awarding tomorrow night with city council. And as soon as we get the contractor on board, one of their projects hopefully before school starts, is to get out there and slurry seal that roadway and put in a crosswalk there and narrow up that roadway so that the transition occurs prior to that intersection, and then it's down to 2 lanes east of that intersection, and providing a nice crosswalk across there for the students to access school.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
I had 2 questions. One's kind of a simpler one. You mentioned we have a full-time animal control guy now?
Yes, it was part of the budget that was adopted by council.
That's a contract person, right? Still with Riverside County Animal Control?
Yes.
A few months ago, my dog got busted for not being spaded, and I noticed the sites are Riverside County codes. Is that a revenue loss for us? Does the revenue go to the right place to pay for this animal control activity, or is it going to the county?
I don't know where the revenue is going for that. I can look into that. I haven't been asked that question. So.
And I notice we do have our own animal control codes. They're kind of just, cut and paste with the city code thrown at the end. But on those sites, they are county codes. So I'm not sure if the money's going in the right spot.
Well, the dogs have to be registered with the county, not with the city, so I could see why they might do that. That's an interesting thought, though.
Yeah, I just know if we're going to site in the incorporated city, probably want the money to go back to our own animal control.
I don't know if the code, if it's written by the county, goes to the county, or if it needs to be written by the city. I can look into that.
Okay, and thank you. And the second thing, I'd like to make a motion to.
We can't make a motion during these things, but you can provide comment.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment to, I would like to do again what we did last meeting with the joint neighborhood watch and commission session, but on a smaller scale. That was a little big for us to be able to engage. I know we had a lot of presentations going on with the, the mayor and the, mayor pro tem. So we were talking about it afterwards, and we would like to set something up. I'm not sure if this falls under Johnny's realm of engage your neighborhood watch, but maybe next time they have a captain's meeting next quarter, we could, if this is big enough, do it here, or maybe move it to that small room in the community center, where we can do, maybe encourage them to attend our meeting beforehand, and then just roll directly over into neighborhood watch, to try and increase engagement between the commission and neighborhood watch captains.
I like that idea, and we've already committed to doing that, and we're gonna figure out the right method to do that. And we're not sure how fast we'll roll it out. But I did talk with Don Pettinger, and for all intensive purposes, while they are mayor and mayor pro tem, they started that while they were council members, and so that it's a 3-person kind of heading up the neighborhood watch, and then all the neighborhood captains. And we actually have the neighborhood captains meeting right here in this room, and we've hosted it here before. So, the room is pretty full, and we have most of the neighborhood captains in here, so we can definitely figure that out. One of the goals of that meeting wasn't really to have all of you get up there and speak or do anything. It was more to highlight to the Neighborhood Watch program, and that was a annual citywide community event for Neighborhood Watch, is to highlight that we do have a public safety commission, and the Neighborhood Watch captains and the residents that were there from their specific neighborhoods could come also to these Neighborhood Watch or these community public safety commissions, and voice their concerns or share those. So we just wanted to really highlight that we do have a public safety commission, and for you all to see how robust our Neighborhood Watch program is in our community, which we're very excited about.
Yeah, it was eye-opening. I never seen how large the meetings can get and how many people are involved, so it was pretty,
That was the first time we've ever had it in that big auditorium, so that was, yeah.
yeah, if I can help out with whatever you need to facilitate that, please let me know, as I feel.
Donnie will take care of it.
Sounds good.
I think that wraps up our commission communications. Do we have any other future agenda items by the commissioners? Any other? Looks like no, right now. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. The next meeting for the Public Safety Commission is scheduled for September 24th, is that right?
Yes,
6
sir.
o'clock. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank
We
you
go
for
dark
everybody
in
coming
the
out.
month of August, we go dark.
I'm sorry?
Oh, Commissioner Varela was asking, the month of August, there's no meetings. We go dark.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for everyone that came out. Whoa.